So, it is now 2025. The decade is over halfway done, which is just crazy to think about. And with the new year, that means there's going to be a lot of new movies. So today, just as a quick little ramble, I'm going to say what the movies I'm most excited for this year are. I hope that this year is better for film than 2024 because I think 2024 was the worst year for movies since 2020 and the worst normal year since 2018. We had Dune Part 2 and some other good ones, but on the whole, 2024 was just not it. So hopefully this year can be better. So before I get into my top 10, there's a couple films I do want to give honorable mentions that I am excited for. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I had a lot of fun with the first one, but thinking about it after that initial viewing experience, yeah, it's not great. Hopefully, they can actually make a better movie this time. The main thing I'm hoping for is Mangle. I quite like Mangle. So, you include that, at least get some brownie points from me. Love Hurts is an upcoming action movie with Ke Huy Quan in his first lead role. I've quite enjoyed him in his older work, like Temple of Doom and The Goonies, and then of course things like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which even though I'm not crazy about that movie, he was a very good part in that. So, action movie with Ke Huy Quan, interested in that. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, is going to be a theatrical Looney Tunes movie. I quite enjoy the Looney Tunes, a little bit that I've seen of them, so I am interested in seeing what they get up to in their latest adventure. Sinners is an upcoming movie from writer-director Ryan Coogler. This is the man who did Creed and the two Black Panther films. You've got Michael B. Jordan playing dual roles here. Apparently, it might be a vampire movie. That comes out in March. Interested in that. From the world of John Wick, Ballerina. So this is, as it probably gather, a action movie from John Wick. You've got Ana de Armas in the starring role. Apparently, this did go through significant reshoots to add more action, which has improved the film. So hopefully it's good, and hopefully it's better than the original version, because you shouldn't need to add more action to a John Wick adjacent movie. And we have a movie called Highest to Lowest. This is the newest movie from Spike Lee. Now, I've only seen a couple of his films, but I have thoroughly enjoyed them. This is apparently a remake of the Akira Kurosawa High to Low, and I have really no idea what it is. I think it stars Denzel Washington. I am a big fan of that guy, so whatever that ends up being, I'll be interested in. The Battle of Bactan Cross is the newest film from Paul Thomas Anderson, and I included this as I'm interested. I'm not one to say I'm necessarily fully excited. I've only seen There Will Be Blood, and I really like that film from Paul Thomas Anderson. And what interests me is that this is the next film with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I get the feeling, I do not think the public is going to be very fond of that man by the time this movie comes out. It's scheduled for a late summer release. I don't know, DiCaprio. I don't know. Because DiCaprio has had associations with P. Diddy. I don't know, man. I don't know. But that is I believe, a crime movie directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, which I think the last one he did that was Phantom Thread, which is widely acclaimed, so maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be a nice final note for DiCaprio's career. We'll see. Then, Mortal Kombat 2. I had fun with the first one, but it definitely, it wasn't what that type of movie should have been. A Mortal Kombat movie should have been about the tournament. That movie, the 2021 movie, was about the lead up to the tournament. But so hopefully this one is actually about the tournament. Hopefully it'll be gory, and hopefully it'll have some more cool characters in it. Now You See Me 3, my mother and I have watched both of the two films, and we had fun enough with them, so I like going to the cinema with my mum, but we don't get to do it very often. So hopefully this will be one. And the final honorable mention is Zootopia 2. I have a bit more faith in this one than Moana 2. I still think it's annoying that Disney is just purely focusing on sequels with their animated things now, but Zootopia 2 was not originally, at least not that I am aware, a Disney Plus series that was converted into a movie, which Moana 2 was, and which makes its success at the box office all the more disappointing, because you fucking know that's what Disney's gonna do from now on, just hire out the B team and pump out shit like that. It's a bit fucking annoying. But anyways, with that aside, let's get into the actual top 10. So, at number 10, I have F1. So this is probably the last mega budget film from Apple TV Studios. You've got Brad Pitt in the starring role and Joseph Kosinski directing, who directed Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, it's really all you need to get me interested. Brad Pitt is one of my favorite actors. I will watch anything with that he's in. And I really, really love Top Gun Maverick. It's gone down a little bit the more I think about it, the more I've seen other films. But I cannot deny that I absolutely loved that, seeing it in the cinema. Hopefully they're able to capture something similar with F1, and that comes out in the summer. Definitely will be buying a ticket to see that. At number 9 is a film that I hadn't heard of until a couple months ago, when some of the awards season started, and that is Life of Chuck. So this is an adaptation of a Stephen King novella with Tom Hiddleston in the starring role, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan. And this isn't like a horror movie. This is more like Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Stand By Me, those types of Stephen King adaptations. And I'm very interested because I'm curious to see what Tom Hiddleston can do outside of Marvel, because I've really only known him as Loki. I know he's been in other things, like Crimson Peak off the top of my head, but I haven't really seen any of that, so I'm just curious what can he do outside of Loki, because I do quite like him a bit. Mike Flanagan, I only know from Doctor Sleep, which I can't fucking stand that movie. I've never seen a movie shit itself so badly in the ending, and I'm on an island with that. But hopefully, that was a Stephen King adaptation he did. Hopefully, Life of Chuck is better than Doctor Sleep. So that's the only Mike Flanagan film I've seen. I'm not crazy on like the Mike Flanagan train, not just yet at least, but I'm willing to be won over, and Life of Chuck seems like it very much could be. Then, number 8, we've got a film called The Bride. Now, this is a new adaptation of Bride of Frankenstein. It's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, who, the only other film she directed is The Lost Daughter, which I haven't seen, but I'm curious. And you've got Jessie Buckley as the Bride of Frankenstein, who I quite like. I've only seen her in Women Talking, even though I wasn't crazy about that movie. She was definitely the best part of that movie, and I'm very interested to see her in more things. And then you've got Christian Bale as Frankenstein, which, you just say that sentence, I'm up for it. I love seeing when A-listers do horror, and Christian Bale as Frankenstein, I mean, on that alone you could have sold me. But what makes me even more interested, now I think they have moved around the release, and they've moved it up a couple weeks, but this is the film that took the spot of the Batman Part 2. They moved the Batman Part 2 to 2026, it's now to 2027, but that's beside the point, and put this film in that slot. Now, whether that was because the Batman Part 2, something's going on with that with regards to the script, with regards to Matt Reeves, maybe it's something in his personal life, I might have to speculate about that. But the fact that Warner Brothers had enough faith in this movie to place it in the slot where the Batman Part 2 is, because the Batman Part 2 is an assured moneymaker. That is a film that they would be the most confident in. It's not a risky film, at least going on the basis of what people would be interested in. Of course, you could have something like Joker Folie à Deux, which just absolutely implodes upon itself, but the Batman Part 2 is a pretty safe bet. The fact that they saw The Bride and they thought, we are confident enough in this that we will put it in the spot that the Batman Part 2 originally occupied, that is really interesting. And I'm really curious to see what comes of that. The fact, now, to be fair, Warner Brothers is usually on the wrong side of cinematic history. They love to fail. They cannot stop failing. And for every Barbie or Dune Part 2 or like Beetlejuice that did pretty well, you get Joker Folie à Deux, Furiosa, any DC project in 2023. They like to fail a lot, even going back as far as like the fucking 80s when they fucked up Once Upon a Time in America, which I still won't have forgiven for. But that's beside the point. So maybe they've made a complete blunder. But maybe they haven't. Maybe this film is something special. And anyways, moving on from that, number 7, Saw 11. I really like the Saw films. I thought Saw 10 was the best one, and this is going to be following up on that. Yeah, sign me up. Give me more traps. Give me more kills. Yeah. More Saw, I'm always happy. Number 6 is a film called Mickey 17. This is the newest film from Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite and Snowpiercer. And you've got Robert Pattinson as this military grunt who gets cloned and repeatedly dies on an exploration of an ice planet. I believe that's the main premise. Yeah, that sounds cool. I've only seen Parasite from Bong Joon-ho, and I thought that was an excellent film. And I'll be sure to check out Snowpiercer before then, because that is a really acclaimed film as well. Yeah, I quite like Robert Pattinson. I've never watched Twilight, so I really only know him from things like The Lighthouse and The Batman, which I both really enjoy. So yeah, sure, give him a cool sci-fi movie with Robert Pattinson, really good director behind the wheel. Fuck yeah. Then at number 5, we've got Leigh Whannell's Wolfman, which comes out in like 2 weeks or something. And I've not seen any of his directed films, but I do know that Upgrade and his readaptation, or why am I saying readaptation? His take on The Invisible Man from about 5 years ago are very well acclaimed horror films. So I'm curious to see what he can do with another Universal classic. Then at number 4, don't know when this one's coming out, but it's Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I've only seen Blade 2 from Guillermo del Toro. I do plan to change that, but as it stands, I think he's an interesting director. When I look at his list of films that he's made, I think that's an interesting list. So you got like Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water, and his adaptation of Pinocchio, which won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. He's got an interesting lineup of films, and so I'm curious to see what he would do with Frankenstein. Then at number 3, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, I was not high on Dead Reckoning Part 1. Dead Reckoning, I think it's just called now. I thought it was good. It wasn't bad. I think the only bad film in the Mission Impossible franchise is Mission Impossible 2. But I was not nearly as high on that film as a lot of people were. I thought it was way too long. I thought it was awfully paced. But it still had really fun action. And if that's what this movie can bring, I will be for it. I adore Ghost Protocol. I really like Fallout. The rest of that franchise, aside from 2, as I said, is at worst good. So I would still enjoy Dead Reckoning enough to be interested in what Final Reckoning will bring. I really hope that they tighten up the pacing, though. That was the pacing and that fucking nearly 3-hour runtime. Like, no, don't like that. Hopefully that gets ironed out with Final Reckoning. But I kind of know what to expect from these movies. So, if this is going to be the last one, let's get it. So, my second most anticipated film, it was one of my most anticipated films for 2024. It's a film called Alto Knights. So, this is written by Nicholas Pileggi, directed by Barry Levinson, and stars Robert De Niro, and it is a mob movie. Robert De Niro plays dual roles. So, if you don't know the first 2 names, so Nicholas Pileggi is the co-writer of Goodfellas, which is one of my favorite films, and he's the author of the book that movie is based on. Barry Levinson, I've only seen Rain Man, which I quite like, but he's also directed Sleepers, which is another quite good mob movie from what I hear, and that has Robert De Niro in it. And then Robert De Niro, like Brad Pitt, is an actor I will watch. Anything he's in, I will watch. I really, really like him. He's one of my favorite actors. And so, a mob movie with Robert De Niro, you just say that, 4 of my favorite movies of just all time are Robert De Niro mob movies. Once Upon a Time in America, which is like top 3 for me. Godfather Part 2, Goodfellas, and Casino are all fantastic. And The Irishman as well. That's another one. Throw that one in there. That's excellent too. And you put Robert De Niro and he's playing dual roles. That's interesting. I don't think he's done that before. And yeah, sign me up. I don't need to know anything more. Robert De Niro mob movie, you would have sold me on that, but the fact you also got Barry Levinson, acclaimed director, and then Nicholas Pileggi, the writer of Goodfellas. Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped. I feel like this might get pushed back from March. They might make it an award season contender, which I'd be okay with, but yeah, I'm excited for that. But, now this may be subject to change, my most anticipated movie for 2025 is Superman. I don't think James Gunn's missed. I haven't seen Peacemaker, I haven't seen Super with Rainn Wilson, but I've seen all of his other films. I don't think James Gunn's missed. And my experience with Superman, so I saw the 70s movies well over 10 years ago. I don't remember them. But I did see Man of Steel really recently. I fucking hated that movie. That movie is in my top 10 least favorite movies ever. Hated it. And it's put me off watching the rest of the DC EU. I fucking hated Man of Steel. So, I don't watch trailers anymore, but I'm very, very hopeful that this will be good, because DC has a really cool lineup of characters, but aside from Batman, there hasn't been something, there has not been a consistently good set of DC movies. You get something like a Wonder Woman, which is a really good movie up until like the last 20 minutes. And then that gets followed up by Justice League. You get James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and then that's followed up by Black Adam. That's been an inconsistent thing, and even going further back to like Green Lantern or things like that. Not good. DC has not been able to do the majority of its characters justice that haven't been Batman or Batman related. So I'm really, really hopeful that this will be good. And I have faith in James Gunn, because I don't think he's missed. That it will be good. Maybe I'll come to eat my words. Maybe this will be a mess. But I'm hopeful. Especially because I do not give a shit about the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. You'll notice no Marvel movie was on it. I didn't even mention it in the runners-up. But I have hope for Superman. I don't have hope for Marvel anymore. And superheroes was such a big part of who I was and who I am. And so I almost want something that I can get excited for again. Now, it would have been Batman Part 2 and Beyond the Spider-Verse, but still gotta wait till I'm fucking 21 to see Batman Part 2, and I damn well may be able to bring my kids to see Beyond the Spider-Verse, because that might come out in fucking 15 years. Who knows with that movie. But, as it stands, Superman is my most anticipated movie of 2025. I don't really think anything can top it based on what's currently on the release schedule. I think I covered most of the bases, because even with something like Fantastic Four, I'm really only interested because it means Lego was finally fucking forced to make them. But yeah, I hope 2025 is better for movies than 2024, because 2024 was fucking awful. A truly just terrible year. And I typically do my 2024 ranking. I didn't, because I only saw 15, which I don't think that's A, enough, but B, the type of movies that I wanted to see, I either had to pay for. I don't like really doing that. So then I kind of left, okay, what am I going to watch? Oh, fucking Imaginary? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Love Lies Bleeding? I didn't think, I heard very divisive things about that. Ooh. Like, 2024. 2024 was just not it. 2024 was fucking terrible. Not since 2018 can I think of a year that was as bad for movies. Like, 2020 notwithstanding, because obviously fucking COVID. 2024, man, like you had good movies, every year does, but like, I don't know, there's a lot of fucking Madam Web, Craven, Borderlands. 2025. You better be good. Thank you for watching. Have a very nice day.